I'm Donna Fields. I want to say thank you for my induction into the 2020 class Hall of Fame. It's a tremendous honor to be among these those that have gone before me and those that are with me. Congratulations. I've been at St. Mary's. This is my 24th year here in San Antonio, Texas. We've held a couple of NFCA events at our campus. One of our old fields, bringing in the new professional league on a messy day. I believe we had a tryout on our campus. And then we also had a coaches clinic on our field when we first got our new facility together. So it's been a privilege to be a part of the NFCA group, and I appreciate everything that you guys have done for me throughout my career.
Well, our pleasure. Thank you very much. Next up, Cindy Bristow.
Hi there, I'm Cindy, and I coach now at University of California, Riverside. I'm the pitching coach. Thrilled to be doing it, love it. Live with my 92-year-old mom. So thank God most of this conference has been recorded and I can watch it again, because I was doing important things like moving pine cones in the garage and stuff. So you know, what matters to one person may not matter as much to another. So I'm learning a lot of cool perspective lessons that I wouldn't change for the world. I do want to thank the NFCA. This is a monumental task and it's come off awesome. It's been fantastic. And this is a fun part of the evening when we get to wrap it up and spend time with our friends. So it's great to be here.
Thank you very much. Pleasure is ours. Coach Stuedeman, your turn.
Hey, everybody. I'm really happy to be here. Very grateful to be a part of such a great organization. You know, one thing that I'll say about the NFCA, this coaching is a hard business to have real friendships in. And the thing about the people who are running our organization, they do a great job of facilitating that and encouraging that. And I think it's critical to our success as a sport that we understand that if we don't have each other's back and we don't support each other, the crazy things that are happening to different coaches at different levels all across the country could be one of us next. And not to be doom and gloom about it, but the thing that is so great about our organization is the people who are in leadership of this coaches association have our back and they facilitate that for us. And I really appreciate that. And I love the NFCA. And when I was a graduate assistant, the head coach made me sign up to get in, and I went to my first convention, and I still get the same feelings every time I show up at the first convention, and as I did the first convention. So thanks for having this. It's always excellent. I appreciate you guys.
Well, thank you very much. I feel you. Joanne Graff made me go one time and never look back. So I feel you completely. Coach Candrea, your turn.
Well, good to see everyone. It seems like I've been sitting in this chair for 3 days, and I think I have, but congratulations on a great convention. I was really concerned how it was going to go, but truthfully, it's been one of my best conventions because I've been able to really sit down and listen to people talk. And I want to thank you, Joanna, and thank Carol for the job that they do for this great organization. And I think one of the neat things that I've been able to do is going into my 37th year at Arizona, number one, being able to survive the storm for so long. But I think the neatest thing is to see the growth of this sport and the growth of this organization. And it's been fun to watch. And probably one of the neatest things that I've been able to do is really watch the game grow and continue to grow. And a big part of it is what you guys do. So I just want to thank everyone on the screen for what you do for this sport. And we should all feel blessed that we're a part of the greatest sport in the country, and that's fast pitch softball. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Coach Herman.
Hey, everybody. Well, I spent like 4 or 5 months being nervous for December 11th, 2020, and now I feel great. So this is not so bad at all, but congrats to Donna and Heinz and everybody else, all the Hall of Famers. What an unbelievable day. I just want to tell a quick story. In the 3 o'clock Emeriti session, we saw so many Hall of Famers, and you know, it was at Marge Willison's 1997 induction that I remember vividly sitting there watching her being inducted as a Division III coach and saying, huh, wow, like this is maybe something that somebody like me could be a part of. And a bunch of things, that means a bunch of things to me. Like when you see somebody else doing something, somebody that looks like you, right, is doing something that really matters. So we've seen that a lot this year. And I think it speaks to Linda Wells said in that session about women, seeing women in leadership roles. It speaks about people of color, and I could talk about that stuff forever, but Marge Wilson made that difference for me, or her induction made that difference for me in 1997. And I was prepared to talk about that a little bit today anyway. And then Marge mentioned on that call that I had sent her a note this year, and that really meant a lot to her because I was thinking about her. And I'm prone to crying anyway, but that was really cool. And then I wanted to sort of pile on to that just yesterday, or maybe it was today, I know she's on this call, Leanne Baker, the coach at Mercyhurst, who was local to me 100 years ago, probably 15 years ago, 10 maybe, came by, asked to just pick my brain and came by my office, and we just talked softball. And then anyway, we had some interactions at convention, and she sent me an email yesterday that made me bawl. Right, really connected the dots because it was her note to me, and then Marge's note talking about a note I wrote to her really connected the dots, and just piggybacking on what all 4 or 5 coaches who went before me just now said, that thanks to the NFCA, but more importantly, thanks to the coaches and the connections that the NFCA has allowed us to have, right? You guys create the conditions, which is what I think coaching is all about. So thanks for being great coaches.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Coach George Wares.
Hi, everybody. Happy to follow Kris. Joanna, you are phenomenal. The organization of these meetings, and because I didn't know how this was going to work, and I think it's actually worked out extremely well. So I want to thank you and the NFCA. Congratulations to the 3 new inductees. Particular shout out to our other Division III person going in, Kris Herman. You probably can't tell, but I have a suit coat on, and I have a really nice blazer underneath. I'm not going to show you what's on the bottom because it doesn't really matter because you can't see it. Whoops. I
did that. I wanted everybody to see that blazer.
Okay, it's really important for me to kind of get into this moment, and I can't tell you people how much I miss the actual live interaction. I know this is really good and everybody's praised it. And some people have said maybe we'll go more Zoom and less interaction, and I'm going to be the first person that tries to veto that, because the highlight of this whole convention is this night and the banquet itself, but the interaction before, the interaction after. I've said this forever, and I truly believe this. This is not a Division I, Division II, Division III NAIA organization. This is a softball organization. And I really, really, really want to praise the Division I coaches, quite frankly, for making that happen, because you don't see that in other sports. So I want to thank you, all of you, for letting me be a part of this.
Thank you very much. We appreciate that. And we have Coach Linda Wells with us. Coach Wells.
I would just want to say happy holidays to everyone. It's been fun for me to watch probably most of you as players. And I remember being a part of the inaugural induction with Linda Draft and Sharon Backus. And I really appreciated the 20 or 30 people that were in the room that day. And so for me to continue to be a part of this organization and of this group just share in the experiences throughout my life in sport as a player and as a coach. And, you know, it's so many memories, so many times, so many people. And as I look at each of you, I have shared experiences in the game and in life. So I'm just wishing everyone to stay safe and have a happy holiday and enjoy everything about the convention that you're a part of every year, whether it's virtual or interactive or whatever it is. If we can come together, it's that's what the game's about. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And this is just a rock star group. I can't wait to get into the questions. And the first one in that Emeriti session an hour or so ago, fellow Hall of Famer Dee Abrahamson talked about how saying that 2020 has been so awful all the time has been horrendous for student athletes because they only get a handful of years to do what they're doing. And it's a disservice to take one away because it wasn't very good with some circumstances. For whatever reason, that one really stuck with me. So I'm curious for each of you, what's been the best part of 2020? So we're gonna have all of you answer. So you gotta keep it short so we can keep rolling. There's a lot of you, but what's the best part of this year? Kris, let's start with you.
Wow, I thought not only, well, I'm sorry, I'm supposed to go quick. I mean, so many great things, right? Like you never know what's going to happen. People complaining about, or not complaining, but being down about the really, really hard stuff that people are going through, but people are going through really, really hard stuff all the time. And so just bring that front of mind and recognizing that, you know, we can keep on keeping on and supporting each other and being a good friend to those around you, close or not so close, really is magical. So I've been working really hard to do that and have so many examples of people doing that for me. So that's been great. And I think every year is great, except for the no softball part.
Thank you very much. Les, how about you?
Well, this is a little bit personal, but 2020, in 2020, my wife became pregnant. So right at the beginning of 2021, we will be welcoming in our first son. And so the other things that go along with that are that I've had to be really open and honest about, you know, where I am and who I am. And, you know, most of the people who love me and have known me my life know who I am. But with a child on the way, you know, I just made the decision to live as authentically and as truthfully as I could. And so that involves some discomfort. And I cannot tell you, each and every one of you, just a fantastic experience that has been for me in 2020. So this will be the best year of my life until February 7th gets here. So I'm happy with 2020.
Good for you, Coach. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
I would say I had the opportunity to sit on my back porch and enjoy the birds and things of that nature that I really hadn't had the chance to do over the years because of being busy. Was able to spend more time with my children back from college or quarantine from teaching at the high school level. And then when we were able to get back together with the team and start working with them, I felt like we slowed things down and had the opportunity to spend more time instead of it always feeling so rushed, because we did have to be in small groups. And so we had the opportunity to take our time with those small groups and grow more as a team. Also started with a leadership book with a group of my athletes. We've tried to do it in the past but because of schedules being so busy, it never seemed to come to fruition. And this year we've been able to get through the whole entire book and continue to grow as a team. So positives of 2020.
Thank you very much. Coach Bristow.
Mine's twofold. It's been fantastic. The quarantine to spend time with my mom instead of just passing in the night as I was leaving and returning from practice and stuff. So that's been, like, I can't replace it. And I think the purposeful, we haven't been on campus or in practice. So contacts you make have to be purposeful instead of just casual walking by someone, taking them for granted. You have to reach out and you have to be purposeful in your lessons. And so I think it's given me I've benefited from being more purposeful, and time matters with people. So, plus I'm an optimist. My mom wouldn't let me be anything else. So there has to be a silver lining in the whole thing.
Absolutely. Coach Wayers.
Mine's kind of a sad one, but then turns into a bit of a positive. My father passed away in July, and right now, Alicia's mother's not doing well. It's kind of the same circumstances in nursing homes. So it was a struggle to get in to see him before he passed. But just the support around those circumstances and watching the healthcare workers that were with him, doing some Zooms with him, and then finally toward the end being able to go in and see him. So that was, in a really bad time, you realize how there are so many good people. I will end it with a humorous one. Before he passed, he said, "I really, 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 really want to be able to vote." He didn't get to that vote. And because the doctor was kind of saying you don't have a ton of time left. And he said, "Well, I got to make it to November 3rd because, excuse me, because I am political, but I really want to make sure that I vote for the other guy." And which means Joe Biden. And so on that day or the day after, he was very, very happy with the result of the election. Sorry about the political statement.
We know it was
You're 2020, George.
It is 2020.
It's your choice. That's right. Your memory. Coach Candrea, your turn.
Well, there's been some sad moments, obviously losing a couple of friends to COVID, and but on the positive side, I think for the first time in a long time, I think our kids really appreciate playing the game again. Sometimes when it gets taken away from you, you don't realize how much you miss it. So I saw a different glow in their eyes when they got back onto the field. And I know for myself, it's been a great time for me to spend more time with my wife. I don't know if she likes it, but we're still married. And, one of the tough parts about coaching is, like Cindy says, you kind of see each other passing through the nights and getting ready for the next day. And for the first time, we've been able to spend some quality time. In fact, I've even taught her how to play golf, since golf was one of the only things that we could do. So it was kind of fun to enjoy that moment.
Thank you very much. And Coach Wells.
Well, for me, I think it's been reflective. I've been able to spend all of my life either playing or coaching and doing multiple sports. And it's been a reflective time. And at the same time, similarly lost my dad, and now sharing caretaking with my mom, with my siblings. And so it's just been a different time. And as I do reflect, I think of the opportunities that I had to play and coach, and believe pretty seriously that one of the things you're doing is learning life lessons. And if we ever needed to apply them now, so I'm kind of taking on a personal challenge to just be around and with and encouraging and helping as many people as possible, including myself, to get through this hard time. And, it's like getting through a tough game or a tough tournament or a tough whatever. And you come to terms and reflect on what you've learned and apply it to what you're doing now. And I've been very grateful to hear from friends, and I think we're all sharing the time and meeting the challenge moving forward.
Well, thank you very much. We are getting a ton of questions coming in, which is great. Keep them coming to all of you with things on your mind. What we will do, we will go through one or two questions and then have a couple of you answer, and then we'll go back to a different question. So not everybody will answer every question, but if you're really passionate about something, you really have something to add, I am never going to cue Oscar music on you. So you can jump right in and, we will get you in there. So don't hesitate to jump in if you really want part of a question. The first one, what's one of the hardest decisions or conversations that you've ever had to have as a coach, and how did you approach it? Coach Candrea, let's have you take that one.
Hardest conversations. Well, I think part of coaching is having lots of hard conversations, but I don't remember any in particular ones. I think one of the most important things that we do as coaches is build relationships. And so I think anytime that you kind of feel like you maybe haven't given a kid everything that you have, and my ultimate goal is to prepare them for life after softball and making sure that they have a great experience. And truthfully, this last year when we brought back 7 seniors and brought in 8 freshmen, we had a group of young ladies that kind of looked at their future at Arizona and saw that they probably needed to maybe go somewhere else to get playing time. And that was tough. And for me to be able to sit down with each one of those kids and try to find a new home for them was something that I've never done in coaching. And so it was very eye-opening and very appreciative for some of the things that you don't think about as a coach. And, I always say that you don't coach them for 4 years, you coach them for a lifetime. And whether they are at Arizona or they're somewhere else now, they'll still be a part of my life. And those were some tough conversations to have.
Thank you. Coach Stuedeman, same question.
I think that what Coach Candrea is talking about when there is a player who's not a match, whether it be because, you weren't able to give them your all, or my style didn't bring out the best in them. That is always the toughest conversation for me. I mean, at my core, I'm a pleaser, and I bring the kids here because I want them to love the school, love the sport, love their major. And so those are always the hardest conversations. I've been very fortunate at UAH in that I've been here for a long time, and I've had I've had 3 assistants since I've been here. But I was in a situation with my middle assistant, who is one of my absolute best friends, and we had to part ways. And that conversation was brutal, and it absolutely was one of my hardest days as a professional. And there's no right way to do it. And those 2 things are really, really tough. And those are my toughest conversations that I've had. And the only thing that works for me is to get right to the point and be as honest and straightforward as I can. And I always go into any situation like that saying what I need to hear, which is don't be defensive, don't be defensive, don't be defensive. And so that's my take on that question.
Thank you very much. We go next question. Coach Wares, let's have you do this one. What's the best piece of advice you were ever given, and who did it come from?
That one's easy for me. Go back to Coach Clyde. When I was a youngster and we were playing in a national tournament, we lost, Eastern Connecticut lost. Coach came up to me and said, do you really want to stick around and watch anymore? I said, I'm okay either way. And we didn't know each other real well yet. We had a pretty good relationship, but it was definitely still building. And he said, well, do you fish? And I said, yeah, I like to fish. He said, well, we can leave and let's go. So we left the tournament. We got in the body of water 2 hours after I realized there weren't any fish in the water. He just wanted to talk. And he talked a lot during that time, but the best advice he gave me was don't ever feel like you've arrived. And I think that is so, so important. He obviously had been very successful. I was fortunate with the teams that we had. We were fortunate to have some success early. And he just looked me in the eyes and he repeated it over and over and over. He said, there's going to be a roadblock, but right now you've had a really good start. But the minute you think you've arrived and you're better than what you think you are and humility goes away, you're in trouble. And I'll never, ever, ever forget that.
Thank you very much. Coach Wells, same question. Best piece of advice and who was it from?
I think my advice often came not verbally, but behaviorally. And I would have to say my dad was a very patient person. Not only did he work with me as a young player, but was always modeling behaviors. Especially, he would occasionally say to me, stay patient. And I hear him now with that advice about anything that's going on in my life, to just stay patient and persevere with whatever I choose to do. So I would say that one.
Thank you very much. A similar question. What's the piece of advice you would give to a brand new head coach? Coach Herman.
I mean, figure out who you are, what works for you. I mean, there's a whole bunch of things that are very cliche, but I think there's a good system behind them, right? Like, and then recognize that you're going to screw up a ton. And, you know, I'm not that married to the like admit your failures kind of thing. I think that takes a lot of time and energy and isn't necessarily productive, but I think go for it because you're going to screw up anyway. So just figure out what you really care about and then tattoo that on the inside of your eyelids. As one young coach who just typed to me in the chat said something I said to her was tattooed on the inside of her eyelids. So I like that. I'm going to repeat it. Thanks, Coach Powers. So that's that. Figure out who you are and go for it. And just know that, like in my case, 25 years later, you're going to be like, oh, I could do this a lot better. And you should be doing that every single year.
Thank you. Coach Fields, same question. Best advice for a new head coach?
I would have to ditto that. I think even in these NFCA leaders education programs, you listen to a lot of the greats and all the ideas, and you really have to take from them what you can incorporate into your program and what you could do well at. If you try to do it their way, you probably won't be real successful. You got to find ways that you're comfortable with, be true to yourself, and trust who you are and what you're capable of doing.
Thank you very much. Coach Bristow, new question. Pick one thing that you would attribute your success to the most.
Damn, the mute button. Doing the hard. Sometimes we don't want to climb the mountain. We want to start like near the peak and just scale it and go, yay me. And it doesn't work that way. So the lessons you learn in the hard, going to the places you might not want to go to, it's doing the hard. Put your hand up and say, I'll do it, and learn from it and nail it. And the next assignment you get may be harder, but that's because someone saw you as capable and competent. So the hard makes you better. It sounds corny, but too many times we don't want to do the hard, but we want the rewards of those who have done the hard.
Thank you very much. Coach Candrea, same question.
Repeat that question again.
You bet. What one thing would you attribute your success to?
Not scared, not being scared to fail. I think that was a lesson that I did know at the very beginning, but I think something that you learn how to re-identify what success really is. And to me, I think that was a big part of my evolution as a coach, is to become more process oriented than worried about the end result all the time.
Thank you very much. Next question up. If you could change one rule about the game, any playing rule you wanted, which one would you change? You want this one? Go ahead, coach. I'm
Well,
not
I
going to tell
can't-
you no.
Well, I just can't figure out why all of a sudden the line is you're out of the box when you're on the line, where everything else in our game, the line you're in. So that would be my one rule, is go back to the original rule.
Gotcha. I just want to ask Coach Wayers because I think I know, but I just want to hear it. Coach Wayers,
You think you know?
I think I know.
I've got
I'm an avid
a
Twitter follower, Coach. I think I know.
Okay, the one I want to change is the drop third strike. You were going to think that one, right? Which one were you going to say?
No, I wasn't going to say that one.
Okay, well, to me, I completely lack the understanding of it. So some pitcher throws a pitch that bounces, and a hitter is so fooled, they swing and miss. The ball goes to the backstop, and we're going to award 60 feet when the pitcher did everything she was supposed to. I've asked baseball people. So if somebody on this panel is way smarter than I am, if they could explain that rule to me, it makes absolutely no sense to me at all.
Bristow's thinking. She's thinking.
Not now, but don't explain it to him now.
Let's see, Les, what rule would you change?
I'm with Coach Candrea. I can't, I mean, I don't even, it's so hard to even reteach what to stay in the rule, and the speed of the game. That's the most frustrating rule to me right now.
Anyone else want in on that?
Oh, and I don't like it that coaches can't argue balls and strikes.
Imagine that. Anyone else want in on that before we move on? I feel like that's like a hot topic. Everybody good? All right. I love this question. Coach Wells, coming to you first. I owe it to these coaches to keep this game going strong. What do they want for me to put at the top of my priority list as a coach?
You owe it to who? Could you say it?
Yeah, it says I owe it to these coaches to keep this game going strong. So what do they want for me to put on the top of my priority list as a coach to keep the sport growing?
Gender equity. And not thinking because the crumbs got bigger that there's gender equity. I'd like us to address the gender equity problem of the sport culture.
Thank you very much. Let's go. Same question. Kris, you want that one?
No, I was just doing the mic drop.
Oh, the mic drop. Yeah, mic drops happen in the middle of the session, and then I feel like, oh man, now what do I say? But you spoke up, so you get it too. What do you think coach should put on their priority list?
I mean, I'm like, I'm pretty boring. I tend to say the same things over and over, but I mean, I think that's it, right? Think about these things. What do you care about the most? If it's a rule change, or if it's something about the culture of your team, or if it's the way your team plays, like dig into that and, address the things that confound you the most, and just get after it. But that's sort of a personal, like how it's a coach to coach. And I think that will give their players more experience. But also, thanks, Jerry. Also, globally, I agree with Linda. And then my real soapbox is I think coaches should have coaches. Like, I don't understand why Roger Federer, Beyonce, Yo-Yo Ma, Serena Williams all have coaches every single day, and people like us here are expected to figure this out on our own. But that's a much larger topic. So.
Thank you very much. What is something that was different than you expected it to be in your career? Bristow.
Oh, Bristow. I would say, I was naive at politics. I hadn't a clue how decisions are made for us, not by us, with different reasons that impact. I found myself in the middle of it and blown away by it. have tried to maneuver through that and in that sense, but no, I had no idea. I figured, the greater good was always everybody's number one, and sadly, I was disappointed.
Thank you. Coach Fields, same question. What was something different than you originally thought it would be like?
It's a tough one. I would say that it's manageable to raise a family and be a college coach at the same time. You're able to balance. It's not easy, but you're able to balance being able to try and watch the kids play and still win ball games.
Thank you very much. This next question, I'm going to ask to all 250 of you that are on this call, what one book do you want your team captain to read? And please put it in the chat. Everybody always wants book lists. So if all of you pick one, we're going to get a heck of a list. And I'm sorry to whoever in the office is in charge of copying these down. We'll just save the chat for you later, but get it in there and we'll compile that list for you. Next question. What's the greatest moment in your career that made you cry? Greatest moment in your career that made you cry? Coach Wares.
I cry a lot, so I don't know if there's one moment, but it would have to be the 2003 national championship because of coming through the losers bracket, but mostly the seniors of that team. One in particular, she's probably on the call, Mary Vanderhoof of Hope College, the head coach there, and she played very sparingly, but was voted a captain. And I've said this many times that without her leadership, in terms of player leadership, what happened would not have happened. And then watching her, I was fortunate to coach my daughter, and she was a freshman starting second baseman on that team. And to watch her around the bases on the back end of the home run. She didn't hit the home run because that wasn't going to happen, as Mary would know, but and her jubilation, knowing that we probably won the national championship. And then afterwards, just the hugs and, the typical, but being a little bit more special because of being able to coach your daughter in a moment like that.
Very cool. Very cool. Thank you. Coach Wells, do you have a favorite moment in coaching that made you cry?
Well, I was struck in the opening ceremony for the Pan American Games in 1987 because it was my opportunity at representing the country, the United States, and it was pre-Olympics. So I had, it was kind of the ultimate time frame in that moment. And so marching out in opening ceremonies in Indianapolis in 1987 for the Pan American Games was a very touching, emotional, personal time for me.
Very cool. Next question. What's one thing you do within your program that is unique to honor your team or your alumni or your history that you would share with others? Coach Candrea?
Well, I think there's one thing that I learned a long time ago from a former baseball coach, and I've been doing it ever since, and that was I try not to miss a birthday. So the first thing I do every morning is, and that's the greatest thing about texting, because I used to have to make a phone call, but now I text every kid that's ever played for me a happy birthday. And I think it means a bunch to them throughout their life.
And how about Coach Herman?
Well, I'm really not a fan of the word unique because I think there's very few things that are like solo only, but I would think it's safe to say that at Williams, we carry around an actual purple and gold metal street sign of a cow, purple cow crossing. It's a cow crossing sign like they have on the road by farms. And we carry that around. It's got the record of every single team on the back of it for 30 whatever years. And so that is actually unique. So since you use the word, it's the only thing I can think of is actually unique. But it's a lot of fun.
Excellent. Thank you very much. What is a way that you use to separate the athlete from the person and to help your student athletes understand their worth is more than their ability on the field? Coach Wayers?
Actually, we meaning myself and Alicia, we spend a lot of time on that. And I think it's, in fact, when we recruit, we tell the player and the parents that we're going to coach you, we're going to coach the person and hope the player follows. And that's kind of stuck with me. We do really work on when we cross the lines to have enough of a relationship that they know if we challenge them in a practice setting or a game setting, and sometimes we're going to get upset with maybe their performance. It's separate from who they are as a person. And the other thing that I've tried really hard to do, more so later in my career, it's very important, I think, for us, we as coaches, to be transparent and admit when we make a mistake. Sometimes when we, and I'm a yeller, I wear my emotions on my sleeve, and sometimes when we yell, we have to ask ourselves, are we yelling because we're really upset with the performance of the player? Or are we yelling we're frustrated because of our own performance? And if it happens to be the latter, then I think it's very important that we go up right away and apologize to the player for our own behavior at that particular moment.
Thank you very much. Coach Stuedeman, same question, separating player from athlete.
Such a hard question. And George, I'm the same way. I'm old school, mostly when my mouth is open, what I'm thinking comes out, which is really, really, really difficult to lead that way with this generation. And one thing that philosophically I could talk about it, but one thing that helps me and helps my kids is they come to my house and they eat dinner at my home, and we do things like play board games or whatever, but the person that I am at my house is not the same person that I am at the field or even at the office. And so that has really helped me connect with the players the last 5 or 6 years. And another thing that I do that helps me create the relationship that separates coach from Les is we haven't done it this year, of course, but whatever day their birthday falls on. So if their birthday is March the 10th of every month, I go to breakfast, lunch, or dinner with them on campus. So so once a month I have a one-on-one meal with every girl on our team. And that is difficult, but it really does help because it builds that relationship that separates Les from Coach Les.
Thank you very much. This book list is exhaustive, by the way. I mean, if you are having trouble finding a book after this, I got nothing for you. Coach Fields, different question for you. With all of your success, did you ever think about taking a different job, and what's kept you at one program so long?
Probably multiple reasons has kept me at St. Mary's. Number one, I like being in one place. But number two, I am a Rattler, and it's a great honor to represent St. Mary's and to compete for St. Mary's for this many years. Been bleeding blue and gold for a long time. I guess the other thing is my husband's a fireman, and so to leave San Antonio would uproot his job, and it's not always easy. When you work for the city of San Antonio and you go to the city of Houston, you got to start all over again. And so we felt like this is our place, and maybe had opportunities to maybe look at UTSA or somewhere else, maybe at the Division I level. But I feel home is where I am. Division II has been a very good place for me, and I've embraced it.
Thank you so much. And Coach Weir, same question for you. Any thoughts of ever changing scenery?
Thoughts, but they're usually in a moment where I try to let the emotion go away, because it's usually after getting swept or something like that, probably. But, it's very similar to what was just said. I think I never thought I would be at Central for 35 years. And now I couldn't imagine not having been at Central for 35 years. And I think, you know, a suggestion again for all coaches, and believe me, I think everybody has to find, just like we say with players, you have to find the fit for you, whether it's Division 1, 2, or 3 or NAI, assuming you have the skill level to play at any of those. And then the same thing with coaching. I don't think there's a right or wrong. I think you have to find out where you get the support you think you need, where your program gets the support you think it needs, and your players get the support they need, whether it's academically or athletically. And for me, I've always been blessed with a tremendous group of coaches to be with me. And now these last, 14 years having Alicia coach with me, I can't imagine doing anything. You know, somebody said about retiring. We get that now at my age in recruiting, and I kind of look at them and I say, well, eventually, but it's probably, you know, I don't know when, unless health becomes an issue. And then I look at them and say, why would I retire when I've never worked a day in my life? And that's kind of how I feel. I just don't think I've ever had a job. I just do something that I'm passionate about and fortunately get paid for it.
Thank you very much. Coach Bristow, what is the best way that you have come up with for new ways to motivate your players?
I think it's tied to the question we had a little bit ago, which was, I don't exactly remember it, but something about the player and the person. And I think the player resides inside the person, and motivation isn't like a little cute little gimmick. It's a sincere thing that compels that person to put their effort and their sights on something different or new or bigger, or and to really compel them to do that, you have to know them. You have to find a way to connect and make that thing you want them to do mean something to them. And that requires, like Les was saying, you've got to know them. And I think for players to become more motivated, I just read a great article on that last night. That's on us. We have to find what motivates them and then talk in their language. And that's a never ending effort, an awesome effort, but never ending.
Thank you very much. And last question, we got to get to this Hall of Fame announcement, because that is one of the best parts of Hall of Fame night, and we can't go anywhere without that. But Coach Candrea, what's your proudest moment of a player after her playing days?
Geez. I'm always careful to pick one player about anything like this, because I'm so proud of a lot of them. But I think one of the gifts of our jobs is to be able to watch young women grow up to be moms or firefighters or doctors or lawyers or whatever it may be. So I get to share into their glory all the time. You know, every one of them make me proud of not so much what they maybe were as a player, but who they have become. And I think a lot of the lessons that they learned in the team sport have helped them grow and become leaders in their own fields, whether they're doing whatever they have found a passion for. And so I enjoy watching a lot of our kids and their happiness.
Thank you very much. And Coach Wells, remember the first Hall of Fame class, got to end with you. Same question. What's a moment that you've just been extremely proud of after a student athlete's playing days?
I just want to give a shout out, because I know there are several of my alumni that are listening in, and I'm sure the same is true for many of you. And you probably join me in just being so proud of, especially all of our alumni that have gone on to do great and wonderful things in their lives and in their community. But I just want to give a thumbs up to all of mine that have gone on to coach and carry on in this great profession, and, you know, just kind of keep it going. Happy holidays to everybody.
Well, thank you very much. And with that, you guys were able to rapid fire a ton of questions. So thank you for being part of this. If you have more questions to ask, don't go anywhere. The mentoring session starts right here, same room, same place after the Hall of Fame announcement. Sit tight, get ready for this, get excited. This is a pinnacle career moment. So let's hear it, Coach Conlon.
Thank you, Joanna. On behalf of the Hall of Fame committee, I have the honor of announcing the NFCA Hall of Fame class of 2021. Former head coach and administrator from Creighton University, Mary Higgins. Current head coach and national champion from the University of Wisconsin-Eau Claire, Leslie Huntington. Woo! We are excited to induct them alongside the class of 2020 next year in Las Vegas. Congratulations, Mary and Leslie. The honor is well deserved.
Congrats.
Cheers.
Outstanding.
Thank you. Absolutely. Everybody take yourselves off mute and let's get some claps and cheers.